Okay, I got to worry about my vehicle rolling forward, so I tracked my wheels. I put a wheel track in front of the wheels to prevent it from rolling forward. I'm going to get in the truck using 3 points of contact. If I got a good grip with both my hands, I can move one of my feet. Both my feet are planted, I can move one of my hands. Okay. Okay. Get in the truck, adjust my seat, adjust the steering wheel. Well, check my seatbelt, make sure it isn't frayed, cut, or damaged. I'm going to plug it in, unplug it, plug it back in, give it a good tug, make sure it's well connected. Get stuff out of the way. All right. Now to continue on with the rest, I'm going to turn the key to the on position. Okay. Check to make sure my ABS light comes on, and then it turned off. Okay. Now I'm going to perform a safe start. Make sure both my parking brakes are fully engaged. My vehicle is in neutral. Indicates right here and right here on the screen where the N stands for neutral. And I put my foot on the brake. Now I can start the truck up. After I do my safe start, excuse me, I did my safe entry, my safe start. Now I'm going to go and my safety belt. Okay, safe entry, safety belt, safe start. Now I'm going to worry about my safety equipment. I have a minimum BC fire extinguisher. It's properly mounted, fully charged. Its inspection is up to date, and it has a safety pin in it. I have 3 reflective triangles. They're not cracked or damaged. When they're set up, they can stand on their own, and they're stored in the back. In my fuse box, I have spare fuses for each type fuse in the truck. Okay? That takes care of all my safeties. Now I'm going to continue on with the rest of my in-cab by checking all my other equipment. We'll take a look at my windshield. My windshield is not cracked or damaged. It's clean. There's no illegal stickers or anything obstructing my view. I'm going to check the weather seal around. Make sure everything's properly mounted. It's not damaged and nothing's leaking. I'm going to take a look at my windshield wipers. They're firmly pressed up against the windshield. They're not cracked or damaged, no parts missing. They work on both low and high. Also, the washers work. Okay. Next, I'm going to do a sweep of all my mirrors. Checking all my mirrors. My mirrors are properly mounted. They're not cracked or damaged. And they're all properly adjusted to my liking. Okay. Okay. Next up, I'm going to turn around. I'm going to turn my headlights on. Okay. My dash light's lit up. That tells me that they're working properly. And now I'm going to take a look at my gauges. First, I have my oil pressure gauge. Okay. The oil pressure gauge is operating properly, and it fluctuates when I hit the gas pedal. Come on. It came up and it goes down very slightly. Okay. Next is my water temperature gauge. The water temperature gauge tells me the temperature of the engine. It's operating properly, and it should rise and stabilize between 180 and 200 degrees. My depth gauge currently reads a full tank. Okay, I could double check it by putting a dipstick in the depth tank and confirm that with my reading. I also don't want to let it get below a quarter of a tank. Same thing with my fuel gauge. Currently reading a full tank. I could double check the accuracy by putting a dipstick in the fuel tank, compare that to my reading, and I don't want to let that get below a quarter tank. I have my voltage meter, so I'm going to hit a button here. My voltage meter comes up. Currently I'm reading 13.9 volts. That tells me that my alternator is working and it's charging my batteries. Last is my 2 air gauges, primary and secondary air gauges. They're working properly. Air will build up above 120 psi, and when it gets to full pressure, I should hear the governor cutoff valve sneeze. Now continuing on with the rest of my in-cab here, I'm going to check over all my light controls. I'm going to check my left signal. The indicator's working. My right signal, that indicator's working. My hazard lights, those indicators are working. My high beams, my high beam indicator's working properly. All right. Going to go through my, I got my, let's see here, defrost and heat. So I go and I put that on, check up top. I can feel the air blowing up there, and I can feel the air blowing downstairs. So they're all working properly. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my city horn and my country horn or air horn. All working properly. Now that that's all done, okay, I'm going to go through and now that that's all done, I'm going to go through and do my air brake check. Okay. First of all, my air is at full pressure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the truck off. Since my hand's here, as soon as the engine turns off, I'm going to turn it back on to the. I'm going to turn the vehicle to the on position so I have power going to my gauges. So it's 1 click off, 1 click back on. All my gauges come back up, okay? And remember, I have my wheels chocked. Why do I have my wheels chocked? Because I'm worried about the truck rolling. Why am I worried about the truck rolling? Because I'm going to release the parking brakes. So I push the valves in. Push the yellow valve in, hold it for 3 or 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to push the red one in, hold that for 3 or 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay. While I'm waiting for the system to equalize its pressure, pull my timer up. All right. I've stopped losing air. The needles are stabilized. I'm going to put my foot on the brake. The needle may move a second time. And now it's stopped moving. I'm going to time this for 60 seconds and make sure I don't lose more than 4 psi in that 60 seconds. Coming up on 30 seconds. Okay, that's 30 seconds. That's 45 seconds. Yeah, we're losing air on this one, we know. That's 60 seconds. All right. So, under normal circumstances, that would be no air loss in 60 seconds. I don't have any leaks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pumping the brakes. I should get a low air warning by 55 to 60 psi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pumping the brakes, losing air pressure. My needles are going to drop. And when I get into a low, when I get dangerously low, I'm going to get a warning. Okay, there's my warning. Stop, low air system pressure, and both these lights are lit up. Okay. Okay, so that tells me that my system's low on air. Now I'm going to start pumping again. Somewhere between 20 and 40 psi, my emergency brake should pop out. Okay, my emergency brakes are working properly. All right. Next, I'm going to perform another safe start to build my air pressure back up. Okay, so once again, make sure my parking brakes are fully engaged. My vehicle's still in neutral. I put my foot on the brake and I start her up. Once I start it up, I'm going to bring my RPMs up to 1,000. I'm going to bring the needle up to the 10 and hold it there. That's assisting the air pressure to build up. I'm going to build it up to 100 psi. Then I'm going to take my foot off the gas and let the air build up the rest of the way on its own. There. Okay, I'm at 100 psi, taking my foot off the gas. Now I'm going to let it build up the rest of the way on its own. I'm going to crack my window so I can listen for the governor cutoff valve to sneeze. There's our governor cutoff valve. Okay, that tells us we're at full pressure. Now what I need to do is I need to remove the wheel chocks because I need to do my tug test. But first I need to remove my wheel chocks. So since the chocks are in front of the wheel, I'm going to back it up about 6 inches. Put my foot on the brake, release my parking brakes. Okay, back to neutral, pull on the yellow valve, they'll both pop out. I'm going to get out, it's all right, I'm going to get out using 3 points of contact and get my wheel chocks. Remember, always facing the truck. Get back in using 3 points of contact. I get back in. Don't forget to put your seatbelt back on. All right. Now I'm going to perform my tug test. First, what I'm going to do is I need to tug on all my parking brakes. So I put my foot on the brake, put it in drive. That's 1 click back. Now I'm going to give it a little bit of gas and feel the truck lean to the right. All right, back on the brake, back to neutral. All my parking brakes are working and the truck did not move. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my trailer parking brakes by themselves. So I release my truck parking brake, push that in, give that a moment to equalize and release. Foot still on the brake, put it back in drive, off the brake, give it some gas, make it lean to the right again. All right. We didn't move. That tells me my trailer brakes are working properly. Back to neutral. My trailer brakes are working properly, and my fifth wheel is properly coupled. Next step, I want to check my truck's parking brakes. So I pull the truck parking brake out to make sure that's engaged and release the trailer brakes. So I push the red valve in. Give it a moment for everything to release. Foot still on the brake, put it back in drive. Once again, I'm going to go and give it some fuel. Feel the truck lean to the right as it gives it a torque. All right. Foot back on the brake, neutral. The truck did not move. That tells me my truck's parking brakes are working. Now I'm going to pull forward up to 5 miles an hour and come to a stop using my service brake to check my service brakes. So my trailer brakes are already released. I'm going to push the yellow valve in to release my truck's parking brakes. I'm going to pull forward, holding on to the steering wheel gently. Move up to 5 miles. Oh, remember, got to put it in gear. Okay. Back to neutral. Pull the yellow valve, they'll both pop out. My truck didn't pull to the left or right, which tells me that everything's properly adjusted. I got no issues with my suspension or flat tires. My brakes are all properly adjusted and they're working properly. This would complete my in-cab inspection. I would now get out and do the outside pre-trip. Okay, that's it.